Hi, everybody. This is Drew Tomlin with the Association for Middle Level Education, and I am joined today on this hangout by Dr. Linda Schlosser. Oh, I'm going to have to start over. They'll edit this out. Goodness gracious.
Schlosser, I'm sure right? I'm going to do that.
Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. This is Drew Tomlin with the Association for Middle Level Education, and I'm joined today on this hangout by Dr. Linda Schlosser. She is an associate professor in the Department of Inclusive Education at St. John Fisher College in Rochester, New York. And more importantly, she is the parent of a son with special needs who is now attending college. So, of course, the perfect voice and authorship for an article that you're checking out here in the magazine called College and Career Readiness for Students with Special Needs. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today, Linda.
Thank you.
All right, such a compelling article. We wanted to just dig a little deeper into it. So the first question I have is, why do you think the college and career readiness dialogue is moving into the middle grades and including the lives of students with special needs? Why now?
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually think it's always been part of the middle grades conversation, but maybe not with the focus that it's recently had because of the Common Core. For middle grade students with special needs, however, the conversation about college and career readiness really has lagged, and it's lagged for all of the reasons that we already understand. These are students who run the gamut from being significantly to moderately behind their peers, and so for them, the adult conversations tend to focus on, can they catch up? The future possibilities for students with special needs are really not very clear when those kids are in the middle grades, and in my opinion, they're still unclear in high school. These are students who learn differently, who walk a different path, and who very definitely walk at a different pace. So predictions about college and career readiness, especially in the middle grades, is really tough for students with special needs. And that's why I think it's so critical to keep all of their options open, including college.
Right, and that's why I'd love just the subtitle of your article saying that middle school teachers can change the widespread no way attitude, to change that narrative altogether. And you said that they may walk a different way or walk a different path or whatever, but they're still walking forward, and we need to keep their options open. So appreciate that perspective. And you mentioned the differences too between high school and college in terms of how they meet students' needs. Why do you think those differences exist between the levels, and do you think colleges should do more to serve students with special needs? I know that's a large topic and maybe a controversial one, but what's your take on that?
Well, I think if you ask 10 different professors, you obviously get 10 very different answers. Mm-hmm. So I'm only speaking from my perspective here. High schools and middle schools are public schools, so they follow public law. But on the other hand, colleges and even state colleges, as well as private colleges, are not required to serve all students. Students have to apply to get in, and colleges pick. So for that reason, and also because colleges have to certify that students have met the same standards as their peers, colleges are not required to offer the same accommodations that students received in high school, and they actually cannot modify course content, course requirements, course activities for students with special needs. They have to be able to say that those students are doing the same kinds of things. I do think that the offices of disabilities that exist in colleges, especially the ones that I know, they do go out of their way to support special needs students. Sometimes, however, it just requires a different kind of a college completely, or a college experience program like the ones that I wrote about in the article to really address the needs of students with significant disabilities. And those kinds of colleges are growing in number right now, and I think they're going to continue to grow because there's a huge need for education. There is an emphasis on college and career readiness for special needs students, and most people do understand, as you've already mentioned, that transition following high school can take a lot longer for special needs students, so they don't need to be rushed into the workplace, but they need more time to grow.
Right, exactly right, and just an awareness of that time, and that a programmatic difference may be all that it takes to keep those options and those doors open for all students. So thank you for that. And part of that, as you mentioned in your article, is helping students learn how to self-advocate, for their support. So why do students with special needs in particular need to be taught self-advocacy, and why start that in the middle grades in particular?
Okay, well, I guess the first thing that I want to say is that self-advocacy is not an easy skill to learn, that we all have to work on it, and frankly, I work on it every day. But for students with special needs, advocating for themselves is the best way to ensure that their needs are met. So in order to do that, they have to understand themselves, they have to understand their learning differences, and they have to be able to talk about tools that help them achieve. So if you can articulate your needs, you're far more likely to have those needs met. Now the kick is that unfortunately we parents, and I'm speaking really for myself here, and sometimes even teachers take on the role of advocate for the child as a way of protecting or sheltering the student from reality, as a way of making sure their needs are met, for all good reasons, but it ends up working against the student. Nobody can advocate for that student better than the student, and no one will once they reach the age of majority. They need to learn how.
Right, and that's a very delicate dance, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
How to advocate and then when that advocacy, I guess, like you said, kind of does the student a disservice.
Right, exactly.
So clearly, and you already mentioned this a little bit, clearly the partnership between families and schools is critical. And you discuss in your article what the partners should do to help students to make them successful. Are there any pitfalls or traps or missteps that families and schools should avoid when doing this work to partner with each other?
I guess when I think of pitfalls, I think mostly of just lack of information and lack of time. I think both teachers and parents have to be equally involved in building college and career pathways for students, and that both parties have to err on the side of that nevertheless attitude you mentioned earlier. By that I mean that we have to keep our doors open, we have to have positive attitudes, and we have to always be asking, what are the experiences that this student needs in order to be able to self-advocate and to identify goals they're passionate about and to work toward realizing those goals. Every single person in the world, I really believe, can contribute to the world in some productive way. But for special needs students, it can take more than the typical 6 years of middle and high school to find a passion that lasts. Sometimes, frankly, it takes going away from home to a college experience program for a student with significant special needs to even realize what they are passionate about. Finding that right place to grow after high school and giving that student the gift of time to continue growing is what teachers and parents need to believe is their joint responsibility. The pitfall is not believing that it is a joint responsibility.
There you go. Yeah, and that's a joint responsibility, and it's founded on the positive foundational mentality that the doors, as you said, must remain open, and that the potential must remain open as well. And it's not a deficit mentality of what a student cannot do, but more of a student's potential of what they can do. Like you said, it's about how everyone can contribute to society. I think that's such a wonderful message, and not just a message, but something that's actionable when it's seen as a joint responsibility. So bravo to you for that and for bringing this information to light. So are you ready for the metaphorical journey, as always, to conclude, Linda?
Yes, I've really given this a lot of thought.
Good. I know you have. You know what? I appreciate that. So the question is, if college and career readiness was a food for middle level education, what kind of food would it be and why? What do you think?
Okay, well, don't laugh at this. Just hear me out here. I think that if it were a food, it would be coconut, and here's why. It's so difficult to prepare coconut for eating, but it's so worth it. So first you have to climb a really tall tree, and you have to hack the coconut down with a machete. Then you have to use the machete to hack and peel away that fibrous outer casing until you're left with the coconut, which is still impenetrable, I might add. To get at it, you've got to use a hammer and a nail to drill a hole in it and pour out the coconut water, and then you still have to use the hammer to break it open. Some people would give up and they would forego that taste.
Right.
It's a lot of preparation and a lot of work to get at that coconut, but the result is life-changing. It's so worth it.
Awesome. Awesome. Goodness gracious. So like you didn't just take the food itself, but the whole process of getting to the food and working it out. And obviously, like you said, I mean, a lot of people talk about resilience and grit and growth mindset, but
Right.
you just took that coconut and made all those parts work together with that
Well,
coconut.
that's because I'm a parent, and I'm a parent on a journey. So I don't anticipate that we've reached anywhere close to the end of growth for my son, and I applaud the people who continue to push him forward.
Terrific. Well, we applaud you not only for this time that you spent with us today here on this Google Hangout, but also for your article and your continued dedication to the craft of middle level education and the practice of helping all students succeed, both as a practitioner and a parent. So thank you, Linda. Thanks for everything that you do.
Thanks.
All right, and thank you, AMLE Magazine readers, for checking out this article and this interview. Here at AMLE, we help you reach every student, grow professionally, and create great schools. Thanks so much.